Welcome to the lecture number 4. This is about the coordinate system. We are going to continue on the discussion on the coordinate system. We have already discussed the coordinate system in previous two classes. So in this class, we are going to continue in this direction. So in the previous class, what we discussed is coordinate system in 3 dimensions. We discussed Cartesian coordinate system, cylindrical coordinate system, and spherical coordinate system. At the end, we discussed the unit vector in the spherical coordinate system, and we wrote the spherical unit vectors of the spherical coordinate system in terms of the unit vector of Cartesian coordinate system, and we could derive some derivative of the unit vector. So we found that the unit vectors are unit vectors theta and unit vectors phi are the 3 unit vectors, and these unit vectors are dependent on the 2 coordinates theta and phi, but not on r. And then mathematically we showed that the unit vector, the variation of the unit vector with respect to theta is going to be theta cap. And then variation of the unit vector theta cap with respect to theta is going to be r cap with minus sign, means that it will be directed towards the origin. Many of you were not very happy to learn these things only mathematically, and you wanted to know whether there is some pictorial or is there any physical way of understanding this derivative. Then I promised you that I'm going to upload the YouTube video, and I had uploaded, but I want to continue from here. That yes, there is way to understand this variation of the unit vector pictorially. So let's consider this first point, the first expression, the derivative of the unit vector with respect to theta. And what is that? We consider that here there is a point in space which is at r, theta, and phi. Theta is the angle made with the z-axis, and this is at r distance. The unit vector along r at this point will be like this. Now I want to vary theta by a small amount, and that is the meaning of this denominator, derivative with respect to theta. We are going to vary this theta by a small amount, and then we are coming here. Well, this point, this point will be here. This point will be on a circle which will be containing the z-axis, and this circle is a plane and it is making angle phi with x-axis. So this is a kind of circle containing z-axis, not a kind, but this is a circle making containing z-axis and making angle theta with respect to x-axis. So I want to know that what is the variation, how much it is. So here I put the unit vector at this point is going to be this. And now I want to do the vector subtraction of these two, final minus initial. And we know that this vector subtraction is going to be like this. Okay. And this is going to be along theta cap direction. Okay. And this is what we have written. Mathematically also we found same result. Pictorially here we are finding the same result. Similarly, the variation of the unit vector with respect to theta, the variation of the unit vector along theta direction with respect to theta will be minus r cap. Well, we can understand like this. The unit vector at this point will be along like this, and then I vary by theta by small amount, delta theta here, okay, and then this this vector will be along this direction. And these are the two vectors, and then we have to do the vectors subtraction, and then we find it to be directed towards the origin. So if it is directing towards the origin, it is going to be with minus sign, okay, because it is opposite to the unit vector r. So this is pictorially, I hope it is clear. Well, I was explaining this thing pictorially, and many of you said, okay, no, it's okay. The mathematical way of deriving is good enough because we don't have to visualize in 3D. So still many of you are having this mental block that visualization in 3D is going to be difficult. But I would request you that you better come out of your comfort zone and then you try to picturize these things in 3D. It is going to help you to solve the problems in 3 dimensions. Okay. Okay. So again, I want to, since you stressed so much on the physical meaning of this derivative of the unit vector, I want to continue on this. I say that, okay, these unit vectors are cap can be written in terms of the unit vector of the Cartesian coordinates. We are writing these unit vectors in Cartesian coordinates because we know that these unit vectors are not going to change with space. So it is quite handy to write these unit vectors in terms of Cartesian coordinate unit vectors. And we know that we found these unit vectors like this in the previous class. And mathematically, we can see that these unit vectors are not function of r, and hence the partial derivative of these unit vectors, any unit vectors with respect to r, is going to be 0. Pictorially also, if you want to write, see this point, if you are here or if you are here, you see these unit vectors are going to be in the same direction. It is not going to change. Okay. Now we learned that this unit vector, the change of this unit vector with respect to theta is going to be theta cap. Now, mathematically, we can derive that what is going to be the variation of this unit vector with respect to phi. That is going to be sine theta. But if you want to see this pictorially, what are you going to do? Well, this phi is the angle which is made with x-axis. So you are going to vary the angle in the xy plane. So that's why it's better that you project your unit vector in xy plane. So if you project this unit vector in xy plane, it has component in xy plane and one will be along z direction. And if you are vary angle phi, the component along the z direction is not going to change. It is going to remain same. However, this unit vector in the xy plane is going to vary. Okay. And if you do this exercise carefully, okay, this angle is theta, this angle is 90 minus theta. So the projection of this unit vector in xy plane will be sine theta. And then the variation of this unit vector will be sine theta. So if you do this carefully, you will find this. Okay. I mean, you have already done this kind of thing in plane polar coordinate system. Here, instead of phi, it was theta, but now you understand the meaning of phi and theta here. So here, sine theta, extra sine theta is coming because we are projecting this unit vector in xy plane. Well, variation of the unit vector, again, I have probably this one I have told up to now by 10 times. So the variation of unit vector with respect to position is not going to change, and it is going to be 0. The variation of unit vector with respect to theta is going to be minus r. That's just now we pictorially saw this. Now, the variation of this unit vector theta with respect to phi. Well, we want to, so this is the unit vector here along theta direction. So we want to again project this one in xy plane, and projection will give this cos theta component. The vertical component is not going to change if we vary theta, if we vary phi. Only the horizontal component is going to change, and that will be phi cap. And then extra component is coming cos theta here. This is obviously going to be 0. Next is del phi by del theta. So del phi is this phi cap is unit vector in xy plane. And then if you vary with respect to theta, it is not going to change. Okay. Here you can see this, because here also you can see that it is not function of theta, that's for sure. And then if you are varying phi cap with respect to theta, it is going to remain same. Okay. Now, this one I give you as home assignment. You can try to figure out why it is like this. So basically, you are having unit vector in xy plane, and then I am varying phi. So there is going to be there is going to be a vector which will be directed towards the z axis. Okay. Now I want to decompose this vector along r direction and theta cap direction. I will be able to do. Here minus sign is coming because this vector, if you do this one pictorially, you will see that it is directed towards the z axis. And r cap, okay, and theta cap, if you take in xy plane, it is directed away from the z axis. So that's why here minus sign is coming. So I hope it is clear to you up to now, the pictorial part. Now we are going to discuss about the velocity in a spherical coordinate system. Here we are having r cap, theta cap, and phi cap. So fine. How do we define velocity? Velocity is the rate change of position vector, which is defined like this. This r cap you can write like this, or if you want to write this, you can do the differentiation by parts. There are going to be two terms coming here. And now here what you have to do, this first term is obvious, r dot r cap plus r and dr by dt. Well, dr by dt, how do we know? R cap is function of theta and phi. So we know the chain rule. So I have to partially differentiate r with theta and then theta with respect to time, del r by del phi, d phi by dt. Okay, so this is the chain rule. And then we know that what is del r by del phi, that is theta cap. What is del r cap by del phi, that is sine theta phi cap. We utilize this and then we can find this answer here. So del r by del theta, I put value theta cap, so it becomes like this. D theta by dt is theta dot plus here sine theta phi cap. This is from coming from here, and then d phi by dt means phi dot here. So this is the velocity. So what are these velocity? Physically, if you want to see, this is the radial velocity, and this is the angular velocity along the direction which is along the direction which contains in the, okay, so this is the this is the angular velocity in a plane which contains z axis at given angle phi. This is the angular velocity in xy plane. Okay, so these are the velocity components. Okay. Well, now if you do for the acceleration, this is going to be very, very complicated. Just a minute. There is problem coming because this toolbar is appearing here. Taskbar setting here. I have to. Okay. I don't know. Now it's fine. Okay. So I'm sorry. I hope not much has been. There is not much obstacle because of this. Okay. I don't think that there are a lot of problems because of this. So we will continue. Okay, so now I ask question that, you can try finding the acceleration and then you have to do same mathematical, you have to follow the same mathematical steps. Here you have to do r double dot and so on, many terms will be coming, and then you have to regroup all these terms together to find this. By the way, in order to do the Lagrangian mechanics, we don't have to bother about the acceleration because Lagrangian mechanics is based upon the energy. And if you want to find at some point what is the energy, we are fine with potential energy, which is coordinate dependent. So we are done. We know what is the coordinate and what is the kinetic energy. Velocity is good enough. Acceleration we are doing for fun. Okay, but it's not really essential part for Lagrangian mechanics. We are doing for fun because we want to see, this changing to spherical coordinate, how things behave a little bit differently and so on. I know that you had a lot of confusion about the Coriolis force and so on. And this is because, the scope of this Coriolis force for this course is very limited. We had to just state that 2 r dot theta dot is related with Coriolis, but detailed physical significance is beyond the scope of this course. But I'm planning to put separately a video. Let's see whether I will get enough time, and in fact whether you are going to get enough time to watch that video detailed on Coriolis force and the physical meaning of that. Anyways, in the spirit of that, extension of all this discussion, let's identify the individual terms of this acceleration and see what is the meaning of that. This is the final acceleration. You can do, I will give this one to derive this acceleration for your tutorial or home assignment. But we are settled. This is going to be the acceleration. I am not going to do this all the steps in the class because it is too long and we are going to simply waste time. But let's individually identify the terms which are present here, the physical meaning of that and what does it represent. Well, this is the radial part of the acceleration. And what are the terms? This is obviously fine. I mean, it's very obvious that if you are moving away from the origin in the accelerated fashion, there is going to be the term coming because of that. Well, there is going to be a centripetal part due to angular motion in a plane containing z-axis at a given phi value. Okay, so the plane is defined here by phi value, which contains the z-axis. So this is the part because the atom, sorry, I'm talking about atom. The particle is moving in that circle, okay, and then it is going to experience the observer, which is at the center watching that particle, is going to see that it is accelerated like this. Okay. There is centripetal part due to angular motion in xy plane. Okay, so how you can see that? Well, there is a circular motion, okay, in xy plane happening because phi is changing with time. So because of this phi dot, you can see that there is a angular motion in xy plane about z axis. This is the circular motion, okay, instantaneous circular motion is there in a plane containing the z axis at given angle phi. This is the circular motion happening in xy plane because of this phi dot, okay, and that is going to contribute to the centripetal acceleration. So this is r sine theta is the effective radius of this circular motion, okay. But if you want to project that along r direction, you have to use sine theta. So that's why it is coming. So I have broken this r phi dot square sine square theta like this. So this is the effective radius r omega square into sine theta to project along the r cap direction. That's fine. What is the acceleration seen by observer, which is in the rest? It is going to see that this particle is accelerated like this r theta double dot. It is trivial because there is the angular velocity is not fixed, but it is also changing with time. So theta double dot. What is this? This one. This is Coriolis part, okay, due to the angular motion in plane containing the z-axis. So that's how it is coming, okay. What about this? Well, this is the centripetal part due to the angular motion in xy plane. So here you remember that I had projected this centripetal part in r direction, but now it is also having component along theta cap direction. So that's why here it is coming cos theta. Okay. What is the acceleration seen by an object which is seeing the particle which is moving in 3D? Oh, he is going to see that it is having acceleration. It is accelerating at this rate. Okay. Here, r sine theta is the effective radius because I'm talking about the circular motion in xy plane. So I have to find the effective radius, which will be r sine theta and then phi double dot here. Well, what is these two terms? Both terms are Coriolis part due to angular motion in xy plane. And what is that? You see that here it is effective velocity in xy plane if theta is varying, okay. R theta dot is the velocity in the circle containing the z axis, but you want to project this velocity in xy plane. Okay, and that's why this cos theta term is coming. Okay, so if you want to understand this, you take a rod which is vertical, okay, and it is dropping, it is falling under the gravity. And the person who is watching, he will see that, you know, the tip, let's consider the tip of rod, okay. Tip of rod is having velocity in xy plane, okay. If it is vertical, okay, the distance from the origin will be 0. As it moves, the distance from the origin will be changing. Okay. So this distance from the origin of the tip of this rod is changing with time, and that's why there is going to be a velocity here. And then this velocity, if you are considering, there is going to be a cos theta term. Again, there is a Coriolis part where Coriolis part is you always identify as velocity and then angular velocity, linear velocity into angular velocity. So here you see that r dot is there. So if particle is moving like this, it means that there is having velocity component in this xy plane, and that will be sine theta. And so this is r dot sine theta is the velocity component in xy plane because of the change in r. R theta cap cos theta is the velocity component in xy plane because of the change of theta. So I hope this is clear. But all these things I have gone into detail to just to visualize in 3D and how you are going to project all these velocity components in different planes. And that is the key to visualize in 3 dimensions. So I hope this part is clear. Okay. Now we are going to move ahead, and then I want to discuss very important concept, that elementary vector dr in spherical coordinate system. See, this elementary vector in Cartesian coordinate system is very easy. dr you generally write as dx x cap plus dy y cap plus dz z cap. What is the meaning of that? The small variation along x direction, y direction, and z direction, and then I am doing vector sum of all these variation. Now I want to do this same thing in for the spherical polar coordinate system. And what is that? Initially, I'm here at this point, defined specified by r, theta, and phi, and I move by small. I move in some direction, and the vector is dr. Now I want to write this vector in terms of individual coordinates, or in terms of the r cap, theta cap, and phi cap direction. So what are we saying? We can define this displacement by varying, moving along dr direction, then moving along theta cap direction, and then change. Okay, so probably this is getting confused. We are getting confused here. Let me state the problem once again. What I'm saying here is, initially I am at point P, whose coordinate is r, theta, and phi. Now I am moving to another point whose coordinate is r plus dr, comma, theta plus d theta, comma, phi plus d phi. If we have moved like this, what is going to be this vector? And this vector will be is vector sum of individual three vectors, which is displacement along r cap direction, which is dr r cap, then displacement along phi cap direction, which will be not only d phi into phi cap, because that is not having length of dimension, but that will be r sine theta d phi phi cap. Because this is coming because if you are on a circle, imagine that you are in a plane, you are at a point on the circle at angle theta, and if I make I move on the circle, and then now my new position is theta plus d theta. So how much length I have moved? I have moved length r into d theta. So exactly in the similar fashion, you can see here that r sine theta is the effective radius in the xy plane. Okay, and then d phi is the change in the angle for the azimuthal angle phi. Similarly, how much I have moved on this along this direction r theta it is r theta cap. So basically, what is this unit elementary vector? Dr is written as dr r cap plus r d theta cap plus r sine theta d phi cap. So now you can also see that all these terms are having units of the length. So similarly, the velocity we have already derived, which is coming to be like this. Okay, so now we discussed that what is the use of polar coordinate system. Up to now, it seems that it is quite complicated. I mean, it's a bit much more complicated than the Cartesian coordinate system. Well, this is going to be quite helpful when you are solving some spherical symmetric problem. So for example, the particle is constant to move on a surface of a sphere. This spherical polar coordinate system is quite helpful. If you are working with X, Y, and Z coordinate system, means Cartesian coordinate system, all these three parameters will be changing. However, if you are working with spherical polar coordinate system, you have to only worry about this variation of theta and phi. If you are working with cylindrical coordinate system, R, theta, and Z all are going to change, and that is not handy. Okay, so that's how it is. That if the problem is having spherical symmetry, then you should be working with polar coordinate system. By the way, I'm running a bit late, so I will speed up. So a particle is moving on inner surface of hollow cone. If we use Cartesian system X, Y, and Z, then all coordinates will change. Thus, you need to consider three variables to describe the motion. If we use cylindrical coordinate system R, theta, and phi, all three will change during general motion of the particle over this cone. A cone about Z is equal to axis with theta is equal to constant, only two parameters R and phi are enough to describe the motion of the particle. Similarly, the cylindrical coordinate system is useful if you are given the motion of the particle which is forced to move in helix, then it's better to use cylindrical coordinate system because it is having cylindrical symmetry. So it's done. I mean, all the necessary mathematics we have already done. Okay. Now we are going to move to physics. Okay. Mathematical concepts. I guess not all, but time to time some mathematical concepts will be coming, and then we will explain all those concepts. But mostly these mathematical concepts are over, which are required to understand the Lagrangian mechanics. Now let's move to physics, and I will not do much today about the physics. By the way, I'm getting a lot of beep sound, so let me make sure that whether I'm connected or not. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. So here we are going to talk about the work. So we know that the work done when a particle moves in, for example, we are considering one dimension case, and when a particle is moving along x direction, the work done to move the particle from x to x plus dx is given as fx into dx. Here the force is not fixed, but it is varying with distance x, and this work done is basically nothing but the area of this shaded part. If you want to calculate the total work done by the force when particle moves from the point x1 to from x1 to x2, then you have to do this kind of integration because it's not fixed and it is varying. du is change in the potential energy of a particle due to displacement dx under the force. Okay, so you are applying the force, and then you are going to see that there is going to be change in the potential energy. Fx into dx is the work done on the particle by the external force. Thus, the work done by the particle will be minus Fx into dx. I mean, this is all elementary thing which I think you have already done. So I'm moving a bit faster, and then I will end this lecture because then in that case I will be able to entertain some questions from your side. Work done by the particle is change in the potential energy. Okay, so and this condition is only true if there is no loss of the energy. This is basically conservation of energy, that you are doing work done by the particle and that is stored in some another form of energy. This is true only when there is no loss of the energy due to heat or sound. This work done is by the force. Work done by the particle is equal to du. Okay, so rule of the partial differentiation, we know that total change of the potential energy, the rate of change of the potential energy into the amount of change we have made. Here we are writing du by dx because we are saying that u is having only x dependent. If it was y dependent, then you had to do the partial derivative. Well, this is the simple relation. From here you can find that work done is the force on a particle is given as minus du by dx. Now we are going to discuss the work and potential energy, and we are going to take the example. And one of the favorite example in physics is harmonic oscillator or harmonic potential energy. And you see that this is the potential energy of a spring mass system. When you are at origin, the potential energy experienced by the mass m is going to be 0, and when you are moving away from the origin, it is going to experience potential energy, which is kx square. And harmonic oscillator is one of the favorite potential, okay, in physics to model many kind of crystals or bond and so on. Well, we know that what is the relation if you are having potential energy. What is the relation between the force and potential energy? We know that from the previous slide, force is nothing but the differentiation with respect to x, and that's also known as Hooke's law. And you have already done this one many times. The equation of motion of particle under the harmonic potential, and then it is going to be it is going to exhibit simple harmonic motion if it is having potential as half kx square. Well, this is very nice and ideal. I mean, very nice and ideal harmonic potential, but in reality we do not get. We get much more complicated potential. For example, in the spring model for the carbon dioxide, your potential is given as a green curve, which is not exactly harmonic, but if you are close to you are very close to the equilibrium position, then you can approximate to be say that okay, it is harmonic if you are not moving very much away from the equilibrium position. By the way, exact harmonic potential, if you want to solve, it's extremely difficult.